According to the World Health Organization and the World Bank and several sources, 90% of the impact of these outbreaks, 90% of the economic and financial impact is not related to the virus. So we need to be very careful in the panic. Yes, we are concerned, we have empathy, and we need to stop the spread, especially with this virus, that the high rate in terms of infections is unprecedented. But at the same time, we need to understand that 10% of the world GDP depends on travel and tourism. 1 in 10 jobs in the planet depends on this sector. So it's crucial not to panic and to understand what is the best way to stop the spread and to minimize the impact to travel and tourism.
In Mexico, I think the economic fallout of the H1N1 flu virus was something like $55 billion. I know it's really hard to put a figure on something that isn't over yet and it's difficult to quantify. But I wonder, what could the cost of coronavirus be to the tourism and travel sector globally?
H1N1 globally was 55 billion estimated. 5 billion was the estimated to Mexico, to your point. Now, based on what we have in the information of SARS and H1N1, the figure was 50 billion. Our numbers, as you say, is too soon to tell, but at least it's going to be that amount. And now the question here is how soon these destinations are going to recover, because if we remember in 2003 when we had SARS and 2009 when we had H1N1, China was not that relevant in travel and tourism. And right now, as it was very well mentioned, it's a very important destination. Not only is the second largest in the world in terms of their size for GDP in travel and tourism, just after the US, but also the travelers from China are the biggest spenders. In Europe, for instance, in Paris, $7,000 in average. In the US, $6,000 an average. That's the contribution from a Chinese. So you're absolutely right. It's a very important nationality and a very important traveler for the world. So the impact is not going to be only in China. It's going to be in Europe. It's going to be everywhere.
So you're talking about China taking a big hit as a destination, but also many of the world's travellers are Chinese. Where else might be particularly affected?
Well, Asia has been the region that has been growing the most in the last 5 years. It's very impressive, 6-7%, right? Europe is the largest region, but Asia has been booming. So the impact first is going to be in Asia for sure. The entire region, Thailand, Japan, Korea are seeing already the impact because their travelers are relevant. Europe will be impacted because the Chinese spend a lot of money when they come here. US is going to be impacted. So because travel connects the world, this is not an isolated crisis. This is a crisis that is going to be impacting multiple countries around the world. And that's why the private sector is stepping up. We are helping, waiving charges. For instance, as I'm sure you have seen, Hilton, Accord, and several hotels are waiving charges for cancellations. We are waiving charges for bookings and rerouting people. But we also need to make sure that the governments, they don't panic. We work closely, and we understand that we need to minimize that impact and manage the crisis in the best way.